Alright, howdy guys. Today we're going to talk about triangles. And you've probably seen this information before. So this should be mostly a review. I don't expect you to have every term memorized, but some of this stuff should at least be like, oh wait, that is familiar. Alright, so we're talking about triangles. We're obviously talking about three-sided figures. And we can classify or group our triangles two different ways. We can either group triangles by their angles or their sides. So we're going to start first by classifying by angles, and that's probably the one you guys are going to remember easiest because we've already talked about angles. So when we're looking at triangles, we are looking at just the angles. That means we're looking at these corner pieces to see what their measurements are. If all three angles are are acute angles, then we're going to call it an acute triangle. So far, so good? I thought that'd be true. All right. If one angle is a right angle, just one, because obviously they can't all be right angles, then we're going to call it a right triangle. Not too hard yet, huh? Okay, if one angle is an obtuse angle, then we're going to call this an obtuse triangle. I feel like you're probably with me so far, so I'm going to keep on moving. Now we're going to talk about classifying by sides. These names are a little bit different, and again, you're probably going to recognize the names if you remember which triangle they belong with from last year and years before. Perfect. If not, this is a great time for review. So we're going to start with our first triangle. All sides are congruent. That means all the sides are equal, and that's usually, you'll see these lines on it to let us know that those sides are all equal. Since they're all equal or congruent, we're going to call this an equilateral triangle. And this is like an extra little L right there. Okay, our next triangle, if two sides are congruent, and that again will be marked like this, and then you might see one like this because it doesn't match, we're going to call that an isosceles triangle. Make sure you guys are writing down these little hash marks because that's going to help you later on because those will end up on your book and on different sheets that you see. And again, it's just to let us know if there's one dash on it, that means it's equal to anything with one dash. Here, these both have one dash, so we know they're equal. This one has two dashes, so it doesn't equal the same amount as them. Our last one has no equal sides. So it might look like this, two dashes, and this one's going to have three dashes. This one's going to be called a scalene triangle because none of the sides are equal. Now, today and tomorrow, you're going to be asked to classify triangles both ways, using their angles and using their sides, as well as being able to figure out the missing measurement of a triangle. So we know that angles have lots of different rules. One of the rules for angles is that all the angles in a triangle, when you add them up, will always equal the same amount. And that same amount is going to be 180 degrees. So we want to know how to find the measurement of this triangle for x. So what does x equal? Well, I know it's going to equal, 110 plus x plus 40. When I add those together, it's going to equal 180. So I just use basic expression stuff. I got to get x by itself, so I got to get rid of the 110 and the 40. So if I subtract 110, I'm going to know with x plus 40 equals 70. And again, I have to subtract 40. Oops, we're going to minus 40 on this side, minus 40. I'm going to end up with x equaling 30. And if I wanted to check that, 30 plus 40 is 70. 70 plus 110 equals 180. And I need to make sure I write 30 degrees. And since this is not temperature, we're not talking degrees Fahrenheit or Celsius, we're just writing the degree symbol. All right, now I need to classify my triangle. Let's first classify it by the angles. I should notice right off the bat, I have no right angles. They're not all acute. I have this obtuse angle, so it's going to be an obtuse. And then I'm going to classify it using its angles. I should be able to look at this and tell not all the sides are the same. Not two of the sides are the same. They're all different, so it will also be a scalene, except with the less messy C, triangle. All right, you guys have two triangles. All you have to do is exactly what we did here. Find what x equals, label it with both sides, so make sure you include side and angle classification. And I want to see the work for figuring out x. Have a good night.